is Extreme Off-Road Racing in the 2005 ABSA Off-Road Championship Series. The 2005 off-road campaign is coming to an end, and before we talk about the last race of the season, the Ford Carnival City 400 on the East Rand, let's revisit the 7th race in the series, the Toyota Dealer 1000, which hastily became that distance instead of the planned 400 when the FIA Motorsports controlling body came to observe whether South Africa was a suitable venue for a spot on the world calendar or not. Thorough planning and even better racing, coupled with fine weather, produced an event that prompted the FIA fact-finding mission to give South Africa the thumbs up for a debut date on the World Cross-Country Circuit in 2006. This man, Hannes Grobler, three-time champ, has had a fine season, but in Leidenburg his luck ran out. He and navigator Francois Jordan had a multitude of problems and never threatened. Meanwhile, his proudly South African Nissan hardbody teammate motorcycle legend Alfie Cox and his co-driver Ralph Pitchford went about their business smoothly and efficiently and took the lead after the first stage. They were hoping to wipe out the 16-point advantage that Grobler held over them at the top of the championship log. The third of the Nissans, the all-new SP class car with 2001 champ Duncan Vos and Henny Tersteeg in the front seats, went well in the prologue over 9 Ks, but also had drama and finished out of contention. Mark Corbett and Jean Moore and their Century Property Developments bat impressed all and sundry with a flying prologue, but they would also run into trouble. In fact, the rate of attrition in Mpumalanga was exceptionally high. Only 35% of the entries got to the finish line in one piece. Gary Bertelt and Siegfried Rousseau in their I-Burst Advanced Soft Bat was one of the vehicles that outlasted the rest, and in the prologue they were just 19 seconds ahead of the pace of the hard bodies. John Weir-Smith and his nab Louis van Sail put their Kopanong Hotel super team Jimco through its paces with considerable success early on. But the surprise package of the Dealer 1000 was without doubt the Clint Gibson-Marcel Trethry combination. Their Gibson plant hire orange and white liveried bat proved to be a thorn in the side of the big-name, big-money teams, and they picked up some big scalps along the way. The Walks, Robert and Gareth in their Super Pave Chenoweth were not only super steady, but also super quick, and in the special vehicle category and overall, they were providing a stern challenge. As displayed during this spectacular look and leap from the second I-Burst bat with Bevan Bertelt and Nick Salamolela in it, these lads were taking no prisoners and going well early on, but they too would suffer the ignominy of not finishing. In Class D, the big old Ford of Manfred Schroeder and Alec Harris, with its 4-litre engine humming along merrily, put the other works teams to the sword, and with controlled aggression, the tall driver got through to a glittering runners-up spot. As for Corbett and Moore, their drama started on leg 2 when the road became just a little too narrow for them and the speed that they were travelling at. For the Castrol Toyota team, there was good news with Gavin Cronje and co-driver Robin Houghton batting along at considerable pace. Their speed took them to 3rd place after leg 1. However, the same could not be said for Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin in the other Castrol Toyota Hilux. They took a serious tumble on the opening day. Cronje was treated for concussion. In yet another Toyota, Chris Visser and Jaapie Badenhorst battled on through adversity to clinch 3rd in the production class vehicles. While Paulo Piazzamuso and Oki Furi piloted their Castrol Toyotas to some top 10 placings early on before disaster struck for them too. Henry Zermatten and Bodo Schwegler held the world record for consecutive finishes at 20, and they added one more to that total with a fine finish, which meant a win in Class D and 4th place in the production car category. only one championship out of the 7 has already been done and dusted this year. In Class B, it was Evan Hutchison and Vincent Horn in the motorized bat who beat former champions Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane for the title. They've been solid all year long and deservedly wrapped up the national title with one race to go. In Class D, Arnold du Plessis and Johan Knox and their Nissan 3.3 also could not reach the finish after the grueling 1,000 Ks, but will want to go one better in Brakpan. The Nashua Mobile Racing bat with a 5.7 Corvette engine in it and Terence Marsh and Michael Whitehouse guiding it in the right direction had a superb run in Leidenburg and clinched the 9th place overall. That gave them a legitimate shot at the championship come Carnival City, but they'll be watching the father and son team, the Harpers, closely. And all eyes will be on Alfie Cox and Rob Pitchford when they fire up their Nissan hardbody in Brakpan. They had a dominant 19-minute win over Gibson and Trethewey in Leidenburg, but more importantly, it gave them a 4-point advantage over Grobler and Jordan. The burly Nissan man Grobler is calling it quits at the end of 05, so he will want to go out on a high note, that's for sure. As for the rest, the heat is definitely on in the other classes. In the production battle, those 4 points at the top making it a 2-horse race, but with only one Ford in it. The sponsors of the Ford Carnival City 400 will be hoping that Schroeder and Harris hold on to third. In the special vehicles, Marsh and Whitehouse will have to keep Nick and Ryan Harper at bay, and there's only 12 points in that one, while Hutchison and Ormerod can cruise to the line as they've already done the business in Class B. While the lads and lasses will be racing their hearts out, the Toyota Motorsport team are hard at work in their workshop, putting together their exciting all-new SP class car, which will race in 06 in a newly created class. The category will fit in between Class T for unlimited 2- and 4-wheel drive vehicles and Class D for 6-cylinder cars with limited modifications. The big names in the sport in South Africa, Nissan, Ford and Toyota, have come to an agreement and none of them will race in Class T next year. The super production class is an effort to level out racing, and common components such as gearboxes, brakes, suspensions and differentials will be employed to create exactly that. Nissan have raced their SP in Leidenburg and Limpopo. Ford will start theirs off in the new year, and Toyota will debut the SP at the Ford Carnival City 400. So the days of one mate dominating the cross-country scene in South Africa is finished, and in 06 a new era of equal competition will be experienced by drivers, navigators and the public, making it even more spectacular and spectator-friendly. The SP class will feature similar wheelbases as the existing Class T cars and will look, handle, sound and perform very much like the current vehicles. That means that the all-out speeds that off-road aficionados have got used to will still very much be in evidence. Go! And from all new to just a year ago and the 2004 edition of the Ford Carnival City 400, it was a dry time of the year on the East Rand, but not for Ford or Nissan. Hot, dusty and fast sections through veld and mountains meant an exciting end to the cross-country circuit of 2004. All the major manufacturers were there to contest the final event, which consisted of a short and muddy prologue on the Friday and then 3 identical loops of 140 testing Ks each. In the 6K prologue, Nissan were very aware of their 7-race winning streak, but even though reigning champ Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek went at it with flying bravado, they could not quite pull off an 8th consecutive victory for the Japanese motor manufacturer. Still, the Nissan was sounding phenomenal. Janelle de Villiers and Francois Jordan in their proudly South African Nissan hardbody were a slender 2 points ahead of teammates and reigning champ Grobler and Leek. John Weir-Smith and co-driver Jeff Minute were fighting it out for second in the 04 overall Special Vehicles Drivers and Co-Drivers Championship. And in the prologue around the gambling resort, they certainly did not hold back anything. At the front of the bunch, Atang Mahanene and his navigator Bucks Carolyn wrapped up the overall and Class A championship when they powered their total Jimco to a 15-minute win over arch rivals Mark Corbett and Jean Moore. Neil Woolridge and Kenny Scholtheimer were third and had to hope for all sorts of evils to befall the Nissans before they would get a look in on the championship hunt. But de Villiers wasn't about to let that happen without a doggone good old fight. The crowds on the East End were treated to some awesome driving, but at the end of the wet gravel road prologue stage, it was difficult to tell who was who in the muddy zoo. Terence Marsh and his nav Michael Whitehouse and their Nashua mobile racing car flew along in the prologue but also ran into trouble. Former champ Klaus Degener pointed out the finer details of the Sportee's daughters. De Villiers had to retire with clutch problems shortly after the start of the second lap, which put paid to his championship challenge. Corbett and Moore piled on the pressure mid-race and sped away to leave the rest of the field in the special vehicle category in their wake by more than half an hour. Gavin Cronje and Robin Houghton pushed their Castrol Toyota to the limit and finished 15th in the production vehicle class. Brother Mark Cronje and co Chris Birkin were trying to hold off Alfie Cox and Ralph Pitchford, and the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7 was fulfilling its job description. The Cronje-Birkin combination won Class D. While there was some seriously low flying, but when spectators heard the call of the four flying machines up above and they looked up, they found that the Nissan Harvard display in the old training planes brought back memories of the Donata Flying School days many moons ago, just a few k's up the road. At the finish, after 3 demanding laps, it was Mark Corbett and Jean Moore who brought it home to great applause and appreciation by the large crowd at Carnival City. The Class T Ford Ranger of Woolridge and Scholtheimer was dominant and finished in 5 hours and 36 minutes, a 25-minute margin over the overseas visitors Sandor Kez and Peter Cegletti, who will again line up in Brakpan in the Ford Carnival City 400 this year. Well, there are no less than 6 categories up for grabs in 05, and the racing will be tight. On Friday, the prologue starts at 1 o'clock sharp, while scrutineering takes place 3.5 hours before the off. On Saturday, the route is almost 80% new, and the organisers of the Ford Carnival City 400, the Kupol Club, have promised a bit of everything for the 05 edition. Hope you join us to watch it all, only here on SuperSport.